Farm4Profit podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm4Profit podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm4Profit podcast.
Today on the Farm for Fun show, we are back at the National Farm Machinery Show with Sukup Manufacturing. We get to visit with a man that we got to meet late, really late, one night in Omaha. We've had some great conversations that I can't remember. Yeah. He's a first-generation farmer telling his story to the world with almost 23,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 15,000 on Instagram. From Washington, Indiana, please welcome Mr. Ethan Clarke.
All right. Yes.
What is up, Ethan?
Oh, not a lot. Just enjoying the show.
What brings you down to the National Farm Machinery Show?
Us?
Social media?
The full experience.
Yeah?
I mean,
Were you here last year?
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually got an Airbnb with, actually, we have two of them this year because there's even more people than last year.
Yeah.
We've got two of them side by side right on the Ohio. So we're sitting there watching the barges go by. And
yeah. Is that where the bonfire was last night?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's like a hotel, but you feel at home, and you can. We're gonna make some food, grill some burgers, some brats, and
it's a content house.
Yeah, it is. It's a bunch of social media people. I mean, no shenanigans whatsoever.
Yeah.
Going on there, you know. But
see, we're just out there watching airplanes.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah.
Our hotel is
an airplane fly over us every 3 minutes.
Yes. It was, but they're kind of cool to watch in the beginning.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
And then that's enough of them.
Yeah, when you're trying to sleep. Yeah.
Oh, so far we haven't really had that much trouble going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of been burning on both ends.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. But no, it's always fun to see all the equipment that I can afford in 10 years when it's worn out. And it's always fun to just check everything out at the show. Definitely meet people. It's always neat when people come up and recognize you. It's still odd to me to be recognized because I'm just a farmer.
I used to say, that's going to be mine in 10 years, and I think I got to move that back to like 15 or 20.
Yeah,
where everything is gone.
Interest went up.
Yeah,
so
interest, cost.
Yeah.
So I gave a little intro.
Yeah.
How do you introduce yourself?
Started with nothing and still have most of it.
Yeah.
But no, I had help for sure. Back in 2017, I'll back up, I guess. I worked for a farmer, worked for several farmers here and there for several years, and always wanted to farm, but never thought that it was actually realistically going to be able to happen just because it's so capital intensive to get into it.
Yep.
And ended up working for an older farmer throughout high school, was going to college. Actually, my senior year of high school had the opportunity to rent. It was 15 acres, and I told the lady, I don't have any equipment. I don't have anything to do this.
Yep.
So I ended up working with the farmer I was working for at the time, and basically traded labor for equipment, essentially.
Yeah.
Farmed 15 acres that first year, and since then, since 2017, that was my first year. Now about 100 times that size. So it grew way more than I thought it ever would. I never thought that I would be where I'm at.
So you didn't 10x, you 100x.
Yeah.
That's pretty good growth.
Yeah.
How do you go from 15 to 1,500? That's my math right there.
15
Dumb
to
luck.
1,500.
Dumb luck.
Not completely, but shaking the right hands, meeting the right people.
There's got to be some strategy because not very many people get to that or grow that fast.
A lot of it has come down, honestly, to just I got into it at the right time. Interest was really low.
Yep.
So I was able to buy out as he retired, bought the entire farm out, went from 15 acres immediately to went to a little over 100 the next year, and then doubled. And in doing that, I had started to purchase equipment on my own and with him as well. Basically, if we had something that was smaller, starting to get worn out, I'd use his as trade-in,
Yeah.
and I'd pay the difference.
Okay.
And then he was happier because we had something newer, nicer, bigger, and I was happy because I had something that I could halfway call my own, I guess.
So aligning yourself with the right people and particularly person.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely networking throughout the community. I mean, going to farm events, meeting farmers, talking to some of the older guys that are looking to downsize.
Yep.
Or not necessarily looking to downsize, but that are starting to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the phone calls from them where they're like, hey, we're getting rid of this. Here's their number. Give them a call.
Yep.
That's huge because, I mean, unfortunately, farming's pretty cutthroat, I think, anywhere
Very
you go
much.
anymore.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if you don't know of a piece of ground going up for sale or rent before it's for sale or rent, you're not even in the game.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, we still have really good neighbors, that help each other out. But at the end of the day, it is a business too.
Really?
And it's really helped to meet the right people, have the right connections where as someone is downsizing or retiring. And even I've never knocked on doors after farm ground. I just don't want to do that. But at the same time, if you don't put yourself out there, if you're always worried about stepping on toes, you'll never, you're always going to have somebody upset, it seems like.
Yep.
But
when you get those calls, do you ever say no?
Yeah.
Why would somebody say no if it's that cutthroat? If it is that hard to expand, if someone hands out to you an opportunity?
Well, I've got two types of landlords. I've got the landlords that really care about the ground and want to see it really taken care of, and then there are the landlords that just want a check. And I've grown to the size now where, and I'm always looking to grow, but I'm not looking to pick up any acre now. I'm a little more picky on that, where I lean more towards the, hey, I'm not gonna say that I'm not going to pay top dollar, but I'm gonna pay what's fair.
Right.
And I'm going to pay what's fair for that piece of ground. I mean, my rule of thumb in the past was, for our area, I mean, $1 an acre per what that corn would typically average. Now, that's gone up since then a little more. But that was kind of a rule of thumb. I don't want to watch my capital go out the door overpaying for a piece of ground. Just I'm not in farming to say, look at me, I farm so many acres.
Yeah.
I'm in it to make money.
Yeah,
it's
you're not
a
picking up
business.
another 100 acres to just break even on it.
Right. And so I definitely pick and choose that. Also, I've put it out there before, hey, looking to grow, whatnot. And you'll get the phone calls where people are like, hey, I've got 3 acres in my backyard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
20 miles away, but will you can? And honestly, when I started, that's what I farmed. So the lady that called me initially in 2017, she had 6 acres. And then I farmed people's backyards that didn't want to mow in the immediate area.
Yeah.
And it worked out. I mean, they're hay fields now. So.
Yeah.
But
so do you pass that on to maybe someone else that's trying to get started?
yeah, actually, he is here with me. But I hired a guy full-time this year, and he's actually rented his own ground now as well. And I like that because he's working for me, but he's also got skin in the game.
Yeah.
And so he actually started with more acreage his first year than I had in the first 3. So we're working together on that. Really looking forward to that. I definitely was getting to the point where good help is hard to find, and he is very good help. And you can't really put a price on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to tell him what to do. He knows what needs done, and he does it.
Yeah.
And
But
so
that's
that's
still
awesome.
an interesting position to be in.
Yeah.
Is technically, in the grand scheme of things, your hired hand is a competitor.
Yeah. Not necessarily. I mean, we've kind of drawn lines on a map.
It's a partner.
Yeah. It's more of a partnership,
Yeah.
yes, and that's how we want it to be going forward.
So how old are you now?
I have to think about it, 25.
25
Yeah.
has a full-time hired guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has 100x'd his land. Maybe I missed this. So you started working for a farmer. That's how you got into it. You
Yep.
didn't grow up on a farm.
No. So I grew up.
So you're technically first-generation farmer.
Yeah. I didn't have any family that farmed at all. I mean, my grandpa's got some land, but it's been leased out for years, not really even close to me. So no, I don't have any family ground whatsoever. I lived between two smaller farmers. They both farmed about 300 acres, and I'd bounce back and forth helping the two. And then in high school was half dozen people, whoever called me first, and this guy, hey, you want to come run a grain cart today? Well, no, because the neighbor said I could go run his combine, so I'm going to go do that. And so I'd bounce around and got lots of experience. And actually, I was a senior in high school when I started. My plan was to go to Purdue and get my bachelor's, and I realized that, and the guy I was helping, his health was kind of going downhill. So I stayed on the farm and just went to a local college. I thought I'll knock out my associates, get my plain Jane classes knocked out, and they had an ag business program, so I was doing that. I thought I'll just knock out that and then transfer to Purdue. Everything transfers there. That's what I'll do. 2 years later, I was farming 500 or 600 acres, and I'm like, I'm already doing exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's not. And I got more out of the experience of college than I would say that I got out of the classroom. And 100%. I think a lot of people would agree with that, I'm not saying you don't learn anything in college, but you definitely do. But the people you meet, in fact, one just walked by that I went to college with, but who I work with now, that he's on a agronomy team that I work with. So that's, but that was eye-opening for me to, the me 6 years ago never would have thought I'd be where I'm at.
Yeah.
I never saw it growing like it did.
So where do you think you're at 6 years from now?
Where
do you want to be?
So I want to diversify big time. I am to the point right now where if I keep just row crop farming like I am, it's going to be very, very difficult to purchase more land because 8-9% interest on 30 years. It's going for ridiculous money. Anybody that is buying it around me right now is paying cash for it.
Yep.
Nobody's financing it. And so I want to buy more ground, but to do that and not break the bank in the process, I'm going to have to diversify. I see regenerative ag coming full circle in the next 10 years.
Yep.
I don't think it's come, and I'm very on the fence. Like I'm very in the middle on it. Like I like the way, because I farm very conventionally now.
Yep.
But I kind of see the writing on the wall where I could see fertilizer starting to be mandated. I could see, fertility prices just in the last few years. We've gone to spreading thousands of tons of turkey litter because I didn't want to pay $600, $700, $800 a ton for fertilizer.
Yeah.
So
is that your own poultry, or do you have to buy that?
No. So we're buying all that, and I've looked very heavily even recently into getting into poultry because it is huge around us. The problem is building costs are extremely high right now. And so, 5 years ago, you could put those barns up for half what you can now, and it penciled. Now it's a lot harder to pencil. So there was a set of barns that came up for sale recently that sold for more than what they cost new, and they were 7 years old. But people recognized the value, and, hey, we can't build them for that. Let's buy them. Yep. And so they sold for ridiculous money. But, we buy a lot of I would say I could throw a rock and hit poultry barns in any direction where we're at. I mean, there's just poultry
That's a nice
everywhere.
source of fertilizer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But I would like to get back into the cattle business and get USDA certified, hire maybe a couple full-time butchers. I'm on a highway, so I've got lots of road traffic, and every meat locker around us is packed all the time, and they're always booked up. And I see that in livestock, you're not necessarily making money raising the animal so much as if you could do that full farm to table.
Direct to consumer.
Yes, and ship it as well as ship it. I worked at UPS for a while, and we shipped meat all the time in styrofoam containers. So
there's a lot of people doing that. And Yeah, I think you should. There's actually grants that the government has for like smaller butchers and things like that. So I think you're onto something there. If you got high traffic,
especially if you have the capacity to take on the recreational side of it. When you're talking deer hunting and any type of wild game. Because granted, those are some pretty intense seasons. But the same thing happens. Corey knows that you almost had to get a hanging date.
You do
before you even kill the animal.
And you know, I would like to be to the point where we could even, I don't know, open up a bar and restaurant that's by the farm and be able to point across the road and say that's where it came from, and people will pay for the experience just as much as that. And I see that where you could make exponential amounts of money to then in turn put back into the farm. And that's the thing. I mean, I look at the most successful guys around me. They're not necessarily the best farmers. They're the best businessmen.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily – they're all diversified too.
Yeah.
They're into trucking. They're into construction. They're into something other than farming. The most successful farms that have grown the most are into other things than farming.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but almost anyone can farm.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's the resources, it's the business side of things that sets you away. Right. Going out and planting the seed and plowing the ground and putting fertilizer on. You can pay people to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the base of it's pretty easy. And I hate saying that as a farmer, right? Because we pride ourselves in that. But really, the ones that are on the business side are the ones that set themselves apart.
Yeah. If a banker can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, that's true. And Baker can sit and do it from his desk.
And driving the tractor is the easy part anymore. I mean,
it's the thing that everyone wants to do.
To some,
it is.
Driving a tractor is the easy part.
Yeah.
There are some people that can't figure it out.
Yeah, I've had some help that was like that before.
But
they struggle.
But in all reality, the people that are successful and growing big and all that are not sitting in the tractor. They're sitting behind the desk because they are hiring out the 20-hour job.
But where do you draw the line there? Because at the end of the day, I love to farm.
Yeah.
And sitting behind a desk isn't necessarily what I want to do, but I see the writing on the wall, and unfortunately that I can make more money sitting behind my computer than I can sitting in the combine. And I don't like that because the combine's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, but
there's a balance because you need to do things that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it now becomes something that you dread.
Yeah. And there's absolutely a give and take. There's times where I just have to, my office is tied to the shop, and I just have to stop what I'm doing and just go tinker in the shop for a while because I can only sit there so long. I can only look in an Excel sheet for so long. It's just
that's like infinite.
Yeah.
That's even for a guy that likes looking at Excel, you still got to get up and walk away from it.
And you can analyze and analyze and analyze and crunch numbers and crunch numbers. And I do enjoy that. I hate math until you put dollar signs on it, and then I enjoy it all of a sudden. But
it gives it a purpose.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does. Your social media has been fun to watch. And, of course, we prep for these shows, so we get to go rewatch some things. But you're not afraid to post the things that don't go well.
We have a lot that doesn't go well. A bad day on
you said it, not me.
A bad day on the farm makes great content. But
is that the silver lining? Before there was a need for content, was it just a bad day?
I guess, but I'd definitely rather just have good days.
Oh.
They're a lot cheaper. But we've had several mishaps. But you know,
tip shit over a lot.
It's happened.
That's my favorite TikTok of his is it's easy to change the oil now.
Yeah.
The truck's sitting on its side.
Yeah. And the sad thing was we changed it the day before. The filters were clean at least. But no, we've definitely torn up our fair share. And that's the fun part about farming along main roads is when you screw up, everybody sees it. Everybody. So you just see the pickup with the toolbox and the transfer tank, and he drives by 3 times, and you see his brake lights all 3 times, and the 3rd time you see his phone out the window.
It's going on Snapchat or TikTok.
Yep, I'm not getting away with this one. But no, it's social media is it's wild. it's a good way to, to me, it's really neat when people say, hey, I love what I've seen you do. How can I do it? But it's also a really hard question to answer because, I get asked all the time, how do I start farming? You're first generation, how do I do it? And there's so many variables there. I mean, I don't know your situation. I don't know if you've got ground in the family. I don't know what your situation is whatsoever. So, and I get them so much to the point now, I can't respond to everybody. And I don't like that because I had help, and so I try and respond to as many as I can.
Yep.
But
so what is the easy go-to answer? What's the I don't know how to get started? Where do you tell people to start?
Marry it or inherit it? No, it's.
Hey, Corey just got a Valentine that had somebody's last name highlighted in pink.
When I saw your last name in the plat book, I knew it had to be mine.
Yeah. Love at first sight.
Yeah.
But, no, it's, the USDA, the FSA, they have some pretty good programs. I use them to start with. As you grow, though, you definitely I don't want to say outgrow them, but they're not as flexible, I guess. Like their operating line, for example, is not a revolving line.
Yeah.
It's you take it out and you pay it back on this date, which anybody that has farmed for any amount, that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
It does, but
supposedly they have streamlined the process now.
That's good.
That's
good.
Yeah, as of March 1st, you can even apply online.
They went from 29 pages down to like 16 pages or something like that.
And you can do it digitally. Huge win.
You can.
They wouldn't even accept a scanned document when I was doing it.
You can count on, if you're going to start farming, doing stacks of paperwork initially.
Right.
And there is plenty of it, but. No, I mean, I would say to somebody that's looking to start, first, if you haven't already, go work for somebody.
Yeah.
Go get some experience. It's not something that you can just jump into. And, I think we say anybody can do it, but we kind of do take for granted you're kind of a jack of all trades. You can maybe wrench on equipment. You can run equipment. You can run a balance sheet. You can do, where I feel like a lot of jobs anymore, they're very specialized into one or two things.
Yep.
And you get to do a little bit of everything. But, absolutely just go out, work for somebody. Find a mentor. Find somebody that, hey, he's going to retire, kids aren't in the picture, kids aren't around, doesn't have kids at all, work something out where, hey, over the course of the next 5-6 years, could I gradually buy into this?
Yep.
Right.
And because unfortunately, you can't just buy a piece of ground and pay for it farming it anymore.
Yeah.
You used to.
Yeah.
There's guys that would. I was actually talking to an old timer the other day, and he said, "Yeah, my dad, he was so mad at me because I overpaid for a piece of ground." And he said, "And I paid for that piece the first year I farmed it."
Jeez.
It'd take 50 crops to pay for a piece of ground now.
Yeah, especially with some of these prices that you see flash over.
Yeah. So, I don't want to say you have to have some kind of help, but you're going to have to be specialized. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to have the same results.
Yep.
And you can't afford to do that when you're starting out. You've got to be 10 steps ahead of the next guy, or it's really hard to make it work.
Right.
So,
really cool. Huh. You're married, right?
Yeah.
You got a kid on the way?
Second.
Second?
Yeah, she's due next month.
What's your wife do?
She is a nurse part-time. She was full-time, and then after we had our first, she went down to part-time, and then she helps on the farm too. Here and there, she'll jump in the grain cart, run that.
Was she a farm kid?
No, not at all. She grew up, doing 4-H, FFA, stuff like that, but she wasn't ever really on any farm. She had, a couple show cows and stuff, but beyond that, and they were basically boarded somewhere, and she just went and here's some feed. So,
right.
But no, she's definitely been really adaptive to it. I made it pretty clear when we got married, like, you're not marrying me, you're marrying me and the farm.
Yep.
It's a package deal. there are going to be times where I am not home. I'm not around. I'm not.
It's not because I don't care.
Yeah. But she's very good about, well, then if you can't come here, I'll come to you. You know, throw our son in the cab, ride around. You know, I've thrown buddy seats and everything, so strap him in and he eats it up. So that's awesome to see too.
So having the kids, does that change your perspective on the farming side? You didn't have that opportunity growing up. Is that a goal of yours, just to make sure they have the opportunity?
To have the opportunity, yes. Yeah. To force it on them, no. Yeah. Because I see so many kids my own age and older that even in older generations that they've built this amazing business and there's no one to take it over.
Yeah.
Because the kids went off the farm, they went and did other things.
Yeah.
And you can't really blame them because a lot of the parents, I think a lot of that generation pushed, you need to go to college so you have it better than we did.
Yeah.
And you know, those are especially the people that went through the 80s, and, you know, and I get that, but.
Well, there's a lot of amazing careers out there that isn't farming.
Right. Yeah.
That's just as important.
Yeah, absolutely. Know? But it's always a little hard for me to see, you know, a family farm that their next generation's not going to take over. I hate seeing that because, you know, I know there's so many people out there that were in the same shoes that I was.
Yep.
That, you know, they're sitting there and they'd give up their right arm to be able to farm.
Right. Yeah.
And they just don't have the opportunity where there's people out there that just don't have anybody. So there needs to be something to match those people up.
Yeah, there's been several attempts. Mm-hmm. There's several companies, and it's nothing has joined up, and
doesn't sound like anything's stuck.
It's the magic mullet.
We've got an
celeb
email.
star,
celebrities in the house,
podcasting.
Yeah.
We've got an email actually that came in about 2 weeks ago that said they felt like we were building a platform with enough connections to both groups of people to start a database. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I want that liability. I mean, it's a big connection.
It is, and it needs to be a gradual thing because, you know, somebody that owns 1,000 acres, rough math, that's $10 million just in land, not counting equipment, infrastructure, and whatnot. So, you know, I don't think that somebody's going to want to just transfer that over next day because somebody came along and said, hey, I'd like to give this a shot. There needs to be
and when they do transfer it over, it's usually to the guy that's already farming 10,000 acres or whatever because it's easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But I would love to see, you know, some kind of program or something that matches people up and says, you know, hey, over the next 10 years, you're going to come work for me for the first 2, and then buy in a percentage of share or.
And that's even hard to do if you're thinking about as someone looking for a job to make the decision that you're picking the right employer. Because, if you're going to try and commit 10 years of your life to this, and you get 4 years in and it's not working out, you're 4 years back.
Absolutely.
But then you have a resume.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Right? Then you have experience.
Yeah.
Which counts for something.
Yeah. Well, I want to pick your brain on things maybe a little bit outside of agriculture.
Okay.
Take a little conversation break here and see if I can stump you.
Usually we have a bush light at this point.
That's right.
But it's 10:45 in the morning.
It's early.
That's all right. We throw some orange juice in it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
How many holes does a straw have?
2.
Okay. Do you agree?
1.
I see where you're getting at.
Right?
No,
it's just
it would
one
be
hole through the whole thing.
It would.
But there's a hole on the top and there's a hole on the bottom.
But that's one hole.
No, that's 2 holes. I just said a top hole and a bottom hole.
What's in the middle then?
The straw.
Isn't that a hole?
No, it's a tube. Don't tubes have 2 holes?
I don't know. 1 hole. John
I'm
Sukup is
for
confirming.
2 openings, 1 hole.
There we go.
Crowd participation.
Yeah, he's got engineering in his background, so I'm going to go with him. I'll go with this one. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's in its own category.
I agree.
Well, it's got a top bun and a bottom bun.
It's in its own category. It's
all actually one bun.
It's
that's
one bun
split.
Till you split it, because it
That
inevitably
pisses me
just
off.
pops apart.
It's cut in half.
Yeah. It inevitably, it splits every time.
If you're always learning from your mistakes, is learning from that mistake better than succeeding on the first try?
That's tough.
Your banker's going to have a different answer to that than you would.
You think so? Or does it just depend upon how big the mistake is?
That's probably it, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, of course, it's always good to learn from your mistakes, but
But if you could always do it right the first time, wouldn't that just be pretty cool?
You'd probably learn from that, too. Like, I did it right. So I'll do that again.
It would be cool.
How would you know it was wrong?
It failed.
Yeah.
Lost money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of what I've done has been trial and error.
Yeah.
It's just been.
It is the best way to learn, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Hands-on.
You don't typically make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
In theory.
Yeah.
What's awesome about social media is if you watch enough and network enough with people, like, you have a pretty good idea of what not to do.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
You can learn from other people's mistakes.
Yep.
That said, I've got stuck in the same spots in the same fields.
You do get stuck
over
a lot.
and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should cereal be considered soup?
No. No.
It's not hot.
No.
You can have hot cereal.
You can, but most don't.
That's
So
right.
I would say to be a soup, it has to be hot.
The game changer for me was putting it in a solo cup,
The cereal or the soup?
the cereal.
Because I could even see soup in a solo
Just
cup.
solo
Too
cup
hot.
and milk.
It'd burn your hand if it was soup. Or it'd melt the cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's hot soup. How do you even eat it if that's that hot?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's got to be hot at some point so then you can have it warm.
You just take one for the team and burn your taste buds.
I like that. I do really like the put the cereal in a solo cup.
Well, I
That's
found
what I
that
should
out
do.
accidentally because I was in the shop and I didn't have any bowls or spoons.
Or spoons.
But I did have Fruity Pebbles and milk. So I just made it work. I was hungry. So
I've never been a fruity cereal guy.
I like that you're not dealing with a spoon.
yeah, it just cuts out the middle.
Just drink it.
Yeah.
Because every time you spoon cereal, it dribbles a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you quit it?
Especially with a beard and a mustache. You just,
Yeah.
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 No, it was a game changer.
Oh, there you go. Nice little mental break there.
Yeah.
Try to challenge you outside of agriculture a little bit. So as you are doing things on the farm, what is something that when you know that today you get to go do this, it's going to be a really good day? What's your favorite part?
I love to shell corn.
Okay.
I
Shell
love
corn. That's combining corn?
No, it's shelling.
Yeah.
You're not picking it?
Is it a grain cart or
Grain cart.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a hill I'll die on. But
Okay.
No. No, I mean, I really enjoy harvest time.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy sitting in the combine when it works,
Yeah.
when it's not throwing a coat or something. But
Shelling
yeah.
corn. Because Gavin Spohr made a TikTok the other day that said he hates shelling corn.
Really?
Because everything he does is point rows and turning rows, and it's extremely.
yeah,
He'd rather go combine beans.
Yeah, I mean, I do like cutting beans, but I don't like cleaning the combine off as much at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
Corn's king.
now, Gavin and I, we have similar farm ground. Like 30, I would say 30-40% of my acres are under 20-acre fields. And that's not very fun. But when you're starting out, you don't get to pick the best farms. You get to pick the farms that are available. So that's what I got. I've got a lot of state ground like he does. So
Oh, you do?
We both get that joy.
That's managed by the DNR?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is fun.
Surrounded by a lot of trees and
Deer.
deer and
Yeah.
leaving
Yeah.
a certain percentage for
Yeah.
them and all that.
Take your yield goal and cut it in half.
But if you know that going in,
Yeah, and you
Right.
budget for that. Yeah,
Yep.
you don't farm it like it's your best ground.
yep.
I mean, you farm it accordingly. But no, it's
Have you ever tried that stuff you spray on the corn and it supposed to be like
haven't.
spicy?
I
and the deer
haven't.
don't like it.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
A farmer around us tried it. 'Cause
Really?
We get a lot of deer damage
Yeah.
around the state park.
Yeah.
Did it work?
I don't think so. They
We-
were out there.
We found that deer drives work the best.
Deer drives. Piece of lead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it tastes good too.
Yeah. It does.
And
I
it
love
goes and it helps your butcher.
I
business,
love
right?
Yeah.
Butcher, right?
Full circle. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
So what's the least favorite part?
I have a temper, and I get really impatient when things break. There's several hammer heads and several handles on the farm that are no longer attached.
So you're a hammer thrower?
I'm a tool thrower.
Tool thrower?
Yeah, Milwaukee's can take a beating. But
he's going to take a brand stance there because he knows the beating that his Milwaukee's have taken.
Yeah, no, they can. I mean, I'm really bad about using the battery as a hammer and just swinging it to, like, knock a pin in or something. I do that all the time, and I've not broke one yet. So
sounds like you need Milwaukee as a sponsor.
I would take them all day long. Yeah,
I do like Milwaukee tools.
I've got a small fortune in Milwaukee tools, but I mean, I like working on equipment to an extent, but I don't like working on it when it puts me down and out. Yeah. I should be in the field. I should be moving. I end up driving with a lead foot to the, dealer 5 minutes before they close because, that's always fun.
So how does that get better?
Break less equipment.
Is it that, or do you think it just comes with age?
Well,
because it's easy for me to sit here and say,
so my father-in-law,
it broke down, it's frustrating, but did that 2 minutes that you got to the dealership faster, 10 minutes you got to the dealership faster, really change anything?
No, but it made me feel better about it. But no, my father-in-law, he always tells me slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
And I need to listen to that more often because I get in a hurry sometimes. And when you try and cut a corner and then it ends up costing you half a day because you tried to cut corners, it's just slow down, do it right the first time. And there's a lot of truth to that statement that sometimes if you just pump the brakes, slow down, chill out, you're better off. You're still going to be time ahead.
What does your father-in-law do?
He's retired now.
What did he do? It's a great question.
Well, I don't know how much I can talk about it.
Oh.
But
well, just that type of a wisdom. I mean, I'm trying to think of what profession.
Military background.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fair because that now adds perspective to the concept.
Yeah, that was Jocko said that out at FBN. So that was.
He's got a pretty cool career.
Jocko's your father-in-law?
No. No. But no, he's got a pretty cool career. But no, I definitely I don't mind wrenching on stuff, but there's a time where you're just fed up.
Wrenching on stuff when it's raining and you know you don't have somewhere to be.
It's way different in the shop than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you take it out on your hired man?
No, because he's better at wrenching at stuff than I am. So normally he tells me, just get out of the way.
Yeah, so maybe you should just stay out of the shop.
So oil changes? Absolutely. The reason our concrete's black is me.
Yeah.
Because I changed the oil in my truck yesterday because it'd been like 3,000 miles overdue. And I'm like, driving to Louisville, it's probably best. So I'm changing that, and I pulled the plug, and of course it overshot the pan by 2 feet. And it's. And he's just shaking his head.
And a quart of oil looks like he just spilled
gallons.
10 gallons.
Yeah. But I
did that this fall. We were changing the oil in the chopper, and I had 2 5-gallon buckets. Mm-hmm. Well, I had a little bit, I got the plug out, went straight into the first 5-gallon bucket, but I got some on my glove, so I was going to go get a rag, and I got about 10 steps away, and I was like, I bet that bucket's almost full.
Yeah.
Before I could I was gone 10 seconds.
Yep.
Bucket's full. Now you're trying to move a full bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're just a little guy.
Just little.
It's
I can move the
oil
bucket.
changes. I've never had one that I didn't spill something.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I actually dumped. They cut off a chemical tote, and I've been putting my used oil in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was carrying the pan over and didn't realize the cap wasn't on it. And so there was a nice trail.
Sounds like you need one of those rolling oil carts that can go under.
Yeah,
those are nice.
I do.
And then when you drop the plug, it's got a screen on it so it doesn't go to the bottom of the oil.
Yeah, because I've seen the TikToks where the guy uses a magnet.
Yeah.
Get it untwisted a little ways so that lasts a little bit. You just untwist it. It's stuck to your magnet.
Yeah.
Smart. So smart. So what else are you going to see here at the show?
Look at there's several booths that I'm interested in products.
Yeah. Little sticker shock.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, I come here to see everything I can afford in 10 years when it's used.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat though to see, especially the technology that really it amazes me.
Yeah.
And to think about, you know, the guy that helped me get my start, you know, what he saw in his lifetime and what we're going to see in ours. It's changed so much, you know, just in the past 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to start seeing more automation. We're going to, and it's.
Do you think you will adopt automation? You think you'll have a tractor on your farm that's out running with no one in it?
And not initially. Once I see it's tried and true and proven, yeah. But
so how much does that? How much proof in the pudding do you think that would take? Is it one neighbor? Is it two neighbors?
I think it's time, not necessarily the amount of people. I want to see, you know, we live not just in farming, but in anything. It seems like everything's disposable anymore. It's run it 5 years, and then after that,
I think it's got to be affordable, right? Like it's got to be worth more to you to not have someone out there. So if your employee is maybe doing something else that's more valuable,
right?
Or
right.
And
it blows my mind what like even the used equipment market has done lately.
Yep.
How high it's been, but I think someday that the bottom will fall out of the used equipment market, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But and eventually there's going to be so much of this bigger equipment out there that a lot of the other stuff, it's just, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
There's going to be just piles and piles and piles of it.
Yep.
And is it going to be parked in a fence row like it used to be, or is it going to get shipped down south, or you know?
I think the automation might go, instead of going bigger, it might go smaller.
I
right?
agree.
Maybe you could.
It's going to have to.
You could retrofit.
Where I was thinking is
more with smaller pieces. Yeah.
Well, like you can have large equipment that would make a lot of sense for large fields, but
half 20-acre fields.
Half of what he described might be better off with 2 1-row planters,
right.
2 2-row planters,
right?
6-row, yeah, whatever.
And I mean, I've kind of been interested in switching to 20-inch row, 20-inch corn, 20-inch soybeans. One planter, do it both.
Yep.
And I run a 40-foot planter now, and maybe go down to 30, where it's easier to get into some of these small fields, but it be high speed, so we can get just as much done as, you know.
Yep.
And so that's something that, you know, I guess that's an example of, you know, the equipment might get a little smaller, but it's quicker still at the same time. You know, look at almost all the tillage tools here. Hardly any of them are running 5 mile an hour anymore, like you would.
That's true.
Yeah,
you know,
all of them are above 10 mile an hour.
Yeah, and they work best at that.
Yep.
But speed's definitely.
They've even learned that some of the older tillage tools work best at those speeds. You know, it just wasn't something that we were equipped to do, and as they do more research. Yeah.
And the equipment's getting to the point, like, it physically cannot get much bigger because it won't go down the road.
Yep.
And so I think we're going to start to see, you know, you did in the 80s, 70s, 80s, if you did 100 acres a day, that was a big day.
Yeah.
And now 1,000 acres a day is not out of the question with some of the high-speed, larger bar planters and whatnot. And
just crazy.
But that's with one guy running it. And so I think you're going to see that come full circle with automation, where one guy might be running 4 machines or watching 4 machines.
Yep.
And, you know, you may be covering 2,500 acres a day, you know, just with 4 machines and just checking on them and monitoring them. You know, you may be in your pickup with an iPad driving around, just, everything's doing what it should.
That is the one thing I like about John Deere Ops.
Yeah.
Well, not the one thing. I love a lot of stuff about it, but, like, it is cool that you can see where your tractor's parked, you know, the performance, the hours, the fuel consumption, all from an iPad.
Yeah.
You know, be like, hey, you know, do you realize that you're burning more, you know, 1 gallon more than this other guy and you're getting the same done, you know, whatever. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
pull the throttle back. Let's take care of this.
Yeah.
Your overlap's too much, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Deal, so.
No, I bought a skid steer this summer that I can drive from my phone.
Really?
And I thought that was the dumbest thing ever, but it's awesome.
Yeah?
Like, I was changing light bulbs in the shop with it the other day because I was just standing in the bucket driving myself around. It's the handiest thing. I thought it was really pointless
that a standard option?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think what it came down to is like this one's loaded. It's got every option you could get on one. And I didn't want that because I didn't want to pay for it, but it was like a demo.
Yeah.
So they're like, you can either order a new one and it's going to take 3 months and there's a price hike, or you can just buy this one that's on the floor with 2 hours on it or whatever it was, and it's cheaper. So that's what I did. But no, it's wild it's weird to see something drive with no one in it.
That is weird.
It's neat though, but
you need to make a TikTok with that, like moving snow.
I can't because I drive it with my phone.
That's right. He has to have his hired hand film it.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to get a camera or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But
that's right.
No, it's pretty neat. But the technology is definitely there. I think it's just a matter of people adapting and adopting it. The technology for something to go in the field and run itself, it's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. We've done interviews on this podcast to give access to some of that. And it'll be fun when we get some of them to give us an equipment to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have Corey put it on his farm and put it to work.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Went really fast.
Yeah.
Another great show, another great conversation.
Yeah.
How do people find you if they want to give you a follow?
Clarke Farms on YouTube. I spell my last name wrong. There's an E on the end of Clarke. Yep, Clarke. I've heard that my whole life. Yep. But and then I think it's at the Ethan Clarke on Instagram, and TikTok is
Half-Ass Acres.
Yep.
Hey.
The picture's the kid from Deliverance.
You're one of the guys that make it hard to find you everywhere.
Well, that one's kind of off the rails. Of
Yep.
everything else. So but
you don't get out of here without answering the question that everybody gets asked.
I think
there's going to be a lot of young listeners that are going to cue into this episode because they know your story and they know that you got started from nothing.
Yep.
But that's not everything. So what does success look like to Ethan?
Long-term sustainability.
Okay.
I think financially and environmentally, and I think those two can go hand in hand. Like I said, I farm very conventionally now, but I think there's going to be a lot of change in that. But success would be, doing what you love, loving what you do. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I love what I do, but there's days there are days where you think, man, was this the best thing to?
What do you think your first step to if you farm conventionally now, what's your next step to the regenerative?
Having livestock to fertilize acres, those acres in turn feed livestock, just go full circle round and round. I think that's not something, you'd have to have a ton of livestock for the acres, but even starting that on a small scale, I don't like to jump in with both feet on a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I like to dip my toes first and test the water and then go from there.
You can tell you're still young wanting livestock.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I've had pigs for 10 years now. Now I'm the kind of like, man, I love the manure, but, man, I hate the work.
Yeah. No, your knees will feel it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. So,
but,
good.
Yeah.
This has been fun. I'm going to say it all this entire show, but this is what we get to we're lucky. We get to do this
because it's fun. So everyone is fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the social media thing's been awesome because even, I talked about growing as a farm, meeting the right people, making the right connections. It's been the same with social media. It's awesome to come to things like this and shake hands with people and after hours hang out with people that have hundreds of thousands of followers and millions between everybody.
Right.
And it's cool just to network with like-minded people.
Yep.
And it's awesome. So
very cool.
Get out there, network, meet people, don't be shy.
I think next year we'll have the third house along the river. The
You
Farm4Profit house.
You
Absolutely.
should. You should.
Book it now.
You should.
We do.
Yeah, it's a blast, but it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been real. It's been fun. So.
All right, Corey, what do you say?
It's a Crack a Bush Light.
Yeah.
You deserve it.